Good morning, first graders. I am coming to you on YouTube ready to read you a story. And this story is an amazing book that I love to read because it really helps us love ourselves and love specifically our names. So some of us have names that maybe other friends have never heard before. Some of us have names that are very unique to our culture, and I love that. And this book is about a little girl, and she went to school and she was made fun of for her name. And we're going to read this story to see how she felt, and then we're going to do a craft together afterwards. So I am going to go down in the little corner like you all normally see me do. And today, I thought it would be awesome to read you this story on the computer so that you can see the pictures and that you can read along with me. So I'm really excited that you can see it with me. So we're going to read this book, and it's called Chrysanthemum. And you may have read this story in kindergarten, or you may have read this story at home before, but I love this story. And the author is Kevin Henkes, and he writes a lot of books that Miss Strohmeyer loves. So I wouldn't be surprised if we listen to another story by him. But this book is called Chrysanthemum. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. "She's perfect," said her mother. "Absolutely," said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. "Her name must be everything that she is," said her mother. "Her name must be absolutely perfect," said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written in ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. So we're going to stop right here and we're going to make a prediction. I'm going to read that page one more time. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. What do you think is going to happen when Chrysanthemum goes to school for kindergarten? What do you think is going to happen when Chrysanthemum goes to school for kindergarten? Do you think that everybody's going to love Chrysanthemum's name? Do you think that she's still going to think her name is perfect? Let's find out. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way to school. "Hooray," said Chrysanthemum, "school." But when Miss Chud took roll call, everyone giggled after hearing Chrysanthemum's name. So I'm going to read you all of the names here in our class. So this is Miss Chud. We have Dawn, Eve, Lewis, Al, Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, Victoria, and then Chrysanthemum. So Chrysanthemum definitely has the longest name in the class, and it sounds like her friends are already making fun of her and giggling when they hear her name. It's so long, said Joe. It barely fits on your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria, but you're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. Do you guys know what a flower looks like when it wilts? When a flower wilts, it's not perky and bright and open and happy anymore. When a flower wilts, it kind of sinks down and it looks sad. I see Chrysanthemum looking very sad in this picture. She's wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect anymore. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd, but now I need you to put your head down. And I'm looking at Chrysanthemum in this picture, and she just looks so sad. If I had a name like yours, I would change it, said Victoria, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It barely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful and precious and priceless and fascinating and winsome, said her father. It is everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after having her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was a pleasant dream. She's dreaming that she has a shorter, easier name. And that makes me sad for her because I love Chrysanthemum and I think it's so unique and special. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted again. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, A chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. I feel so sad for Chrysanthemum. Look at her in both of these pictures. She is having the worst days at school, all because Victoria is making fun of her. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said that I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous. And envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better. Yes, Chrysanthemum felt just a little bit better after her favorite dessert with chocolate cake and buttercream frosting. And another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. I wonder, so since she's feeling better, I wonder what's going to happen on the third day of school. I want you to make a prediction. So we know on the first day of school and the second day of school, she was very sad and she was made fun of at school. I wonder what's going to happen on the third day of school. So I want you to make a prediction. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and the petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. That morning, the students were introduced to Miss Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, and so was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought that Miss Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression on her. Miss Twinkle led the students in scales, and then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen to be a dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger, and Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. A daisy is another kind of flower. Chrysanthemum's a daisy! Chrysanthemum's a daisy! Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was so funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. "What's so funny?" asked Miss Twinkle. "Chrysanthemum," was the answer. "Her name is so long," said Jo. "It barely fits on her name tag," said Rita. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "She's named after a flower." Ugh, they're even making fun of her to the music teacher. Do you think that Miss Hughes, our music teacher, would like it if you guys made fun of each other? She definitely would not. "My name is so long," said Miss Twinkle. "It is," said Jo. "My name would barely fit on a name tag," said Miss Twinkle. "It would," said Rita. "And," said Miss Twinkle, "I'm named after a flower too." "You are?" said Victoria. "Yes," said Miss Twinkle. "My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I want to name her Chrysanthemum. I think it's absolutely perfect." Oh my goodness, I want you to take a second. What do you think is going to happen to Chrysanthemum? She has Miss Twinkle there telling all of her friends that Miss Twinkle is also named after a flower. And I wonder how shocked her friends were. I wonder how Chrysanthemum is going to feel. Chrysanthemum could barely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, and she bloomed. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. "Call me Marigold," said Jo. "I'm Carnation," said Rita. "My name is Lily of the Valley," said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew her name was absolutely perfect. And look at her friends. Her friends are wanting to name themselves after a flower. A marigold, a carnation, and a lily. Those are all different kinds of flowers. And now they're wanting to change their name to be a flower because Chrysanthemum and Miss Delphinium Twinkle have a name after a flower, and they aren't making fun of her anymore. Overall, the class musical was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was an absolutely perfect daisy. Victoria made a mistake and she forgot her lines as the fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Miss Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her Chrysanthemum. Oh my goodness. This is one of my favorite books because Miss Strohmeyer, I actually have a really long name. I'm going to go back to the beginning of our story. Here we go. Strohmeyer is a very long name. I have a very long name and it's kind of hard to write sometimes. And nobody ever made fun of me in it for school, but I was kind of scared to tell people my last name because it's so long. But I always read this book and I feel so amazing after I read Chrysanthemum and after I hear the story of how Chrysanthemum loved her name. And even though her friends made fun of her, she made sure that she loved everything about her just as much. So I hope you loved that story. Even if you've read it before, it's an amazing story that I love to read every single year. So now I want us to do a craft together. So you are going to need your big piece of construction paper. You're going to need your chrysanthemum pages. So you need this page, and this page. And what I'm going to do with these 3 pages is I'm actually going to pull them off of my packet. So I have all of my chrysanthemum pages because we're going to make a flower. You also need a pair of scissors and you need a glue stick. And then you need some crayons. Here are my crayons. And we are going to make a flower. So before you cut anything, I want you to look at your pages. So you have a flower pot, you have flower petals, you have a stem, and then this is the middle of your flower, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to color our flower first. So you are going to take your chrysanthemum flower pot, and it says, my name is, and you are going to write your name in that line. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you. My name is Miss Strohmeyer. My name is Miss Strohmeyer. And my name has, I'm going to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. My name has 10 letters. Strohmeyer has 10 letters. And then I'm going to color my flower pot before I cut it out. And then I have flower petals, and I am going to write one letter of my name in a flower petal. So watch how I do this. And I'm going to use my first name to show you. So I'm going to spell, my first name is Rachel. Make sure you watch before you do this. I wrote one letter of my name in each flower petal. So R-A-C-H-E-L. I'm not going to use these flower petals because I don't need them. So after I write my name in my flower petals, I'm going to color them and then I'll cut them out. Then you can also color your stem and you can also color your my name is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this. You can pause your video and you can work on coloring and you can work on cutting out all of your items. I'm going to pause it on this video so you have an example to show you, like Lucas would write L-U-C-A-S, okay? But you are going to write your name one letter in each box, and I'm going to pause this video, or you're going to pause it, and you're going to work on this and you're going to color, okay? So go ahead and click pause and get to coloring. When you're finished coloring, you can click play. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is cut everything out. So I'm going to pause me. You don't have to pause me. And I'm going to cut everything out. So just a second. Okay. I cut out all of my things. I cut out my stem, my circle, my flower pot, and I cut out my flower petals with my name on them. Yours will be colored, so yours is not gonna look like Miss Strohmeyer's. And so now I want you to pause your video and I want you to cut everything out. If you already have cut everything out, we'll keep going. If you haven't cut everything out, pause it and then you can hit play when you're finished. So your flower pot is gonna go at the bottom. Then you're gonna have your stem. You'll have your "My name is" circle at the top of your stem. And then you are going to build your name around your flower. So I'm gonna show you mine in just a second. And remember, yours is gonna be colored, mine's not colored. And you're gonna glue all of your flower pieces on. So I'm gonna show you mine with my computer. So this is my flower. And if you wanna pause it so that you can see how your flower comes together, you can pause it at this video, but you are going to glue everything down and you are gonna make a flower, but yours is gonna be a lot more colorful than this Miss Strohmeyer. So if you need to pause it, you can. Go ahead and click pause and then hit play when you're ready to see the end. Okay, so you guys made a flower with your special name, and I'm so excited to see what your flower looks like. You guys did an awesome job. When you are finished, you don't have to, but you can post a picture of it on Seesaw if you want me to see your flower, okay? Awesome job, friends. I can't wait to see what you've done.